Good evening. I got a lot of tabs for you tonight. In fact, I think there's like 12 that I've got open. Just an absolute insane amount of tabs. And it just all, everything. Everything going on with Davos, everything going on with just this, with Ukraine and Russia, sorry. Just everything that's going on here in the United States, absolutely everything. There was a video put out, I don't know, a couple days ago, I believe it was, by Ma'am Country Living, in which he talks about a veteran widow not even being able to afford eggs. And he started out that video more or less saying that this country could burn. And when he said that, it spoke to my core because I've felt that way for an awfully long time. Maybe it's one thing if you're not somebody that tries to be conscious about what you do, but I'm very conscious about what I do, and I've done a lot of wrong things in my life. Don't get me wrong, a lot of wrong things in my life. But on the normal, everyday average, I understand right from wrong, and it's not a problem to keep my feet on the right line. It's not a problem at all. And in fact, I'm kind of at a loss at how some find it so hard. It's really easy, especially if you ain't got a lot of stuff immediately impacting your life and all that stuff. It's really easy just to keep on the right track. But unfortunately, we don't have society that seems much capable of doing that. And it goes, like I've said, this stuff starts at home. We can sit there and we can point at all of these big players all we want. This stuff starts at home. If you want good leaders, then you have to raise good children. You have to be good examples yourself. And I don't honestly see a lot of that. And I'm not sitting there pointing fingers at all of you saying you're not that way. It's probably a fairly good chance if you're here, I'm probably speaking to you. Not as in directly to you, but meaning you understand. In other words, what's the old saying? Speak into the choir. But to continually see all of it's not hard, right, wrong. I'm failing to see where it's that hard to distinguish. Really not that hard. Not that hard to stay and do the right thing. I think we better be focusing on the inside outward real quick. Because I think the outside's going to be coming crashing down real quick. I don't know how. I'm not someone that's out there saying, oh, this is going to happen on this date and this is... But there's a lot of craziness going on, and I think there's a lot of power struggles going on. And I believe there's power struggles amongst power struggles, and it's kind of hard to say. It really is kind of hard to say how things are going to turn out. If you haven't realized, the governments of the different nations don't run the different nations. That's kind of been that's been like one of my themes the entire time. Ever since I've been doing this show, I have been saying that our government does not make the decision for our country. Those decisions are made by international interests. You might be able to affect a local election or a county or maybe even state. But good luck getting a whole lot done on the federal level. However, when they want to talk about taking something away from you or maybe taking something away from those you disagree with, there is no difference. Then, it's crazy. It's crazy. We better work on building better leaders at home. Because again, I think the top's going to come crumbling down. And I don't know what that's going to leave. What is not in the headlines that I've got up was an article about, I guess there's a riff involving Klaus Schwab at this point. Apparently there's some individuals, and I shared out a link. I do believe I shared out a link. We'll be going over it. We'll be, going past it. And it would seem there might be some issues amongst the ranks of the World Economic Forum. So we'll see. There are some individuals that I think feel like it's time that he gives up his position and lets the next person. And I think we need to dissolve the whole damn thing myself. But I'm pretty sure they're not waiting for my advice. So anyway, I don't have a ton of news to go over involving the Davos nonsense and all that. What I do have is a ton of news involving all kinds of different nations that are seemingly getting ready to start pouring in heavy armor. That's not going to be a good thing. Hang on, let me have a couple sips of coffee, a couple of vapes. We'll get to it. Again, I've got a ton of articles. I'm going to try to move through them kind of quickly. In other words, I'm trying to give myself a head start with caffeine and nicotine and those old engines. Once in a while, got to spray a little ether down the carburetor. And hope the damn thing don't pop back and burn your face off. But anyway, Wagner, I didn't bring you guys along. So this is the first article that I've got for you. Not really necessarily directly in line with the next several set of articles. However, I felt like this was the better place to put this. Wagner Group claims important gain in Donbass. Again, I know there seems to be a U.S. mainstream news narrative, I assume. I don't know. I don't watch U.S. mainstream news. But apparently, per other prepper channels, well, I'm not a prepper channel, but nonetheless, supposedly Russia's like just hanging on by a thread, not doing real well, not being. However, I don't, like I've said before, I don't just go to RT for news. I look at other sources. But why should I have links to 5 million different websites when RT covers it? And they seem to get it accurate. That's all I can go by. Apparently, the U.S. mainstream news makes it sound like Russia's, like, I guess, barely hanging on by a thread. And, Ukraine's got nothing but hope and roses and victory parades in its future, right? It's almost what it seems like. And that is not the case. I've said it many times, and you would think this was obvious, but I guess it's not. I don't know how it's not obvious. Russia is not even remotely putting down its boot. Not even remotely. It's not as if Russia is fighting NATO right now. They're fighting Ukraine. Well, supposedly Ukraine. They're fighting NATO through Ukraine. At least they're kind of make it look at that way, kind of. So, considering that they don't have hundreds of thousands of troops that they can just deploy, and I'm talking Ukraine, well, that's going to take them a little bit longer to wear out the bear. I don't think on Ukraine's best day they would be able to wear out the bear, including with all of this equipment being funneled in. Ukraine, no. The coalition of NATO, that would be an ugly war. And again, we would be foolish to think that here in the contiguous 48 that we wouldn't be affected as far as directly as in him reaching out, meaning Putin, and touching us. Not saying necessary nuclear, and if so, I'm not saying complete, destruction. I really don't see that in the cards. I'm pretty sure it's not just smoking hopium here, but I don't see a full-on nuclear annihilation in the cards. I just don't think. I don't think anybody is that whacked out. Mind you, I remember Kim Jong-un. I remember about Iran. I understand they would maybe like to try to do that, but I don't think they are capable yet. North Korea is working hard at it. I think we need to take a sober look at this. And again, this is just another thing that I did. I looked other places today to verify this. I don't know what to say. It happened. I would imagine that the U.S. media is probably saying that it didn't. I don't know. But anyway. It says Wagner Group troops have captured the strategic village of Kleshchivka in Russia's Donetsk region from Ukrainian forces. The head of the private military company, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has said. I know I can't say these names. One can safely say that the settlement of Kleshchivka, which is one of the important suburbs of Bakhmut, called Artemovsk, I can't do these, in Russia, has been completely taken under control by Wagner PMC units, Prigozhin claimed in a statement distributed by his press service on Thursday. But while Kleshchivka has been reportedly liberated, intense fighting continues around the settlement, with the opponent clinging on to every meter of land, he pointed out. The Russian Defense Ministry hasn't yet commented on the situation in Kleshchivka, contrary to some opinions that the armed forces of Ukraine are fleeing Artemovsk, and again, I can't say it. This is not the case, Prigozhin said, but still expressed confidence that Artemovsk, which is a major Ukrainian stronghold and logistics hub, will be captured. So, again, it seems like Russia is still gaining ground, and I don't know. Here, let's check this out, shall we? Well, where's the Google Map thing, man? Let's see. Okay, the other one that it was close to was Bakhmut, I believe. Bakhmut. Oops. Well, here it's going to be right there. Bakhmut. So, I just wanted to see where that was. Okay, there's Donetsk. Okay. Now, I don't know if they've got... I would assume that Russia has control of Mariupol. I thought they did. Then if they've got Donetsk, and then I guess it's Lugansk back here. So as far as what I can tell, they're just pushing themselves out further west. I don't know. I would say though that if Putin really wanted to, he could end it in a hurry, but it would be messy, and I don't think he wants to do that. I don't think he wants to just mindlessly kill a bunch of civilians. I just don't see him acting like a madman. So on that note, I had to have coffee. Okay. Oh, and then I got this article, and then we're going to get to the Oprah weapons giveaway segment. Audit shows Pentagon lost track of billions. I know you guys are shocked. You don't even believe it. I know it. I know it. U.S. military accounts for almost 2/3 of the federal government's total assets, but does a terrible job of keeping track of them, especially the property furnished to contractors, according to a Government Accountability Office report published this week. The GAO looked into things such as ammunition, missiles, torpedoes, component parts, and related items. You know, just little bitty things, you know, a couple little shells here and there, nothing. Which the Defense Department provides to contractors, you know, for maintenance, modification, or overhaul. The value of this government-furnished property was estimated at over $220 billion in 2014, but is currently unknown, the GAO reported. So, you know, I don't know. You need something worked on, some maintenance or something? The Department of Defense has tried to track down all these assets, issuing a memorandum with detailed guidance on how to do so in May of 2019, according to the GAO. However, the memo was not properly distributed, its terminology was confusing, the management did not follow up on it, and the subordinate agencies experienced logistical struggles to identify and provide requested data. So they, in other words, don't have a clue. So, I don't know. And we're just going to funnel weapons and money over to Ukraine, right? Right. That ought to go well. I'm sure it is going well. I'm surprised we haven't had, like, all kinds of stupidity here in the United States with gangs or something like that. Could you imagine gangs getting a hold of some shoulder-mounted rocket launchers? That would be insane. That would be insane. I am surprised that we have not saw something like that rear its ugly head here in the United States. Let's see. Okay. Let me have some coffee because we're going to be starting a run here of the Oprah weapon giveaway. I mean, there's only one group of people getting them, but there's a whole lot of people giving them. Almost like a baby shower or something. I mean, they're just showering Zelensky. U.S., okay, now, if you haven't been following along in the home game, several nations have spoke up, and they've all been kind of like, well, yeah, we're kind of waiting for this country, and then that country's like, well, yeah, we're kind of waiting for that country. And, at some point it gets to Germany, and I believe it was Germany. Yeah, Germany. We're just, we're going to wait for the United States. We're going to wait for the United States to make a decision on how they want to move forward. And then we'll go from there. Now, I said, this started, around 2 weeks or so ago. And I said, give it 2 to 3 weeks, and the United States would be announcing its main battle tank packages to Ukraine. Now, they've still not done that. I want to make it clear, they've still not done that. But, well, as a famous person would say, we're one big leap forward to that happening. U.S. wants to unlock German tanks for Ukraine. Unlock. It's like a video game now, right? Just a video game. Washington claims Russia is preparing a new offensive and has sent Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to meet with his German counterpart, I love this, Boris Pistorius, on Thursday. Man, I'd have to punch my parents in the face. The two are set to discuss Berlin's long-standing reluctance to provide heavy tanks to Kiev, according to a news report in the Department of Defense's official website. DOD News, I would, man. I'd have to walk up to my dad right in the frickin', I'd break his nose if he named me Boris Pistorius. What the hell is wrong with you people? Man. DOD News reports that Austin is ready in Germany and is set to travel to Ramstein Air Base to meet with Pistorius, who has just been appointed to his role to work on unlocking German Leopard 2 tanks for Ukraine. The meeting is a prelude to a summit of the so-called Ukraine Defense Contact Group scheduled for later this week, which will see defense ministers from across Europe convene to discuss further military aid to Kiev. U.S. officials have claimed that Russia is preparing a spring offensive in Ukraine and have stressed the importance of providing Kiev's forces with the necessary equipment, such as air defense systems and artillery, to fend off Moscow's assaults and launch counterattacks of their own, which is also, I want to make very clear, a definite change in the language. Remember, it was all about defense before. That was the thing. It was all about defense. Now, it's not just about defense. Now it's to launch counterattacks as well. So, keep that in mind as we move forward. I really do think it's going to get pushed to the extreme limits. Then we have this article. U.S. may assist Ukrainian strikes on Crimea, says New York Times. They're coming right out and saying it. Hang on. I don't know. I'll have to look later. I don't know what it is. You can try rebooting it for one. Yeah, just go ahead and try it again. Computer's giving her problems. That's why I'm trying to get hers kind of squared away towards a new system. I don't think that it's the actual hardware having issues, but if this would be any of the hardware having issues, it would be the video card. That's kind of one reason I'm wanting to do this swap-a-roo and put the card I'm using now in that computer. Yeah, just push the restart button. Let it restart. It's been doing all kinds of funky things. Now, mind you, It's really only did it ever since she's been playing with emulators, Android emulators on the computer. So I'm pretty sure it's just related to that, but we'll see. I'm gonna, like I say, do a video card swap-a-roo, and we'll see if that fixes anything. Anyway, so the U.S. is coming right out now and saying it. U.S. government is weighing whether to supply Ukraine with the capability to attack the strategically important Crimean Peninsula, according to the New York Times. The discussions highlight a gradual shift among U.S. officials towards more brazen support for Kiev, even as Washington insists it does not seek confrontation with Moscow. Now they're saying gradual shift. Okay. Following months of hesitation, the White House is now warming to the idea that Ukraine may need the power for strikes deep inside Russian territory, namely military targets in Crimea, the Times reported on Wednesday, citing several unnamed U.S. officials. American officials are discussing with their Ukrainian counterparts the use of American-supplied weapons, from HIMARS rocket systems to Bradley fighting vehicles, to possibly target Crimea, the outlet said, adding that Washington has come to believe that if the Ukrainian military can show Russia that its control of Crimea can be threatened, that would strengthen Kiev's position in any future negotiations. Despite Moscow's heavy fortifications on the peninsula, which hosts Russia's Black Sea Fleet and other military bases, Crimea remains a major focus of Ukrainian battle plans, according to the Times. It is unclear exactly how Washington hopes to assist attacks on the region, but the outlet suggested the decision to supply Kiev with Bradley infantry fighting vehicles showed willingness to help Ukraine go on the offense, including targeting Crimea. So, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see tons of equipment pouring in. Another EU nation considers tank shipment to Ukraine, says Politico. France is considering deliveries of Leclerc tanks to Ukraine in an effort to overcome Germany's reluctance to make a similar commitment, Politico reported on Thursday, citing sources. So you see how this is all playing out? Everybody's going to throw in now. It would become the third nation to pledge Western-made heavy armor to Kiev. According to a French official interviewed by the outlet, Paris may resort to the move in order to provide Germany with a joint framework for tank shipments for Ukraine. The German government has repeatedly argued that it would not supply Kiev with Leopard 2 tanks, claiming that deliveries of such weapons should be coordinated with its allies. However, France has yet to make a final decision on the matter. We're going to get to France. The report says the subject is complicated and hasn't been settled yet in Paris, but we are thinking about it, the French official told Politico. So, you hearing this, but there's going to be other news with France and Macron, and I don't know on France. However, Poland threatens to ignore Germany's stance on the tanks for Ukraine. This says Warsaw is pressuring Berlin to allow it supply German-made Leopard 2 main battle tanks to Ukraine, but does not consider its consent essential, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki has said. Consent is a secondary issue, he claimed during an interview with Polsat Television on Wednesday. Warsaw expects to get Berlin's permission quickly, but could also do the right thing on your own, he added. Poland has offered 14 Leopard 2 tanks to Kiev and wants other Western nations, including Finland, Denmark, and France, to contribute, so Ukraine could get a batch of up to 100 tanks. Morawiecki said replenishing the Ukrainian armor fleet was urgent. because Russia could probably launch an offensive as early as February, he added, citing various expert opinions. I'm pretty sure that Putin can launch an offensive anytime he pleases. I don't get how folks think that this is hard times for Russia, because it's not. From what I've seen, they have been pretty measured in their attacks. Russia has been. I mean, I get it. Hundreds of missiles. Trust me, I get it. But to act like they're doing the most they can do and just barely hanging on, that's just silly. UK to go further in support for Ukraine. The UK is set to provide Ukraine with more than 200 armored vehicles in addition to a batch of Challenger 2 main battle tanks that had been promised earlier, Foreign Secretary James Cleverly announced on Wednesday. His remarks came as Canadian authorities had made a similar pledge in terms of security assistance. Speaking at a joint press conference with Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, Cleverly reiterated that West's commitment to supporting Ukraine militarily in its fight against Russia. This is why the United Kingdom has decided to go further and go faster with our help to Ukraine, including the supplying to our friends of Challenger 2 main battle tanks, heavy artillery, and over 200 of other armored vehicles, he said. The aid would also include 100,000 artillery rounds and millions of rounds of small arms ammunition, he added. On Monday, UK Defence Minister Ben Wallace confirmed that London would provide Kiev with 14 Challengers, Bulldog personnel carriers, as well as armored recovery and repair vehicles. The package was also set to comprise uncrewed aerial systems and air defense missiles. So, that's quite a little package coming from UK. You got the Russian Orthodox Church issuing warnings, and I'll let you decide what you want to think on that yourself. I've seen them say good things, and I've seen them say bad things. So it's kind of a toss up there with them. But this here says any attempts to destroy Russia could spell disaster for the entire world. The head of the Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill, warned on Thursday. Speaking after a religious service marking the Orthodox Christian holiday of Epiphany, the primate claimed that both the international community and Russia are facing very huge threats. According to Patriarch Kirill, the root of the problem is that some madmen believe that Russia, which has powerful weapons and is populated by extremely strong people, who had never given in to an enemy and had always emerged victorious, could be defeated under the current circumstances. Neither would it be possible to impose on them certain values that cannot even be called values, so that they would be like everyone else and obey those who have the power to control most of the world, he noted. Seems an awful like a fight from the New World Order, right? I still don't trust. I do not and will not trust. And I will not trust in man. I know better. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of the two. Either they're fighting this whole New World Order business, or, they're just making it a good show. Let's see. Sip of coffee. I don't think there's really anything more than that. Just be warned. West must contribute to Russia's search for destiny, says Macron. That is what I was talking about a while ago when I was saying, I wouldn't be so certain on France. This here says, Russia is a great nation which is now actively seeking a new destiny, French President Emmanuel Macron said on Thursday. Now, does that sound to you like, he's saying, Putin's a madman just trying to rule the world? I don't think that sounds like that. The conflict between Moscow and Kiev has become part of this search, the French leader believes, adding that the West would only see a lasting peace if it contributed to this process through a dialogue with Russia. Russia, as a power, is searching for a new self and is looking for a destiny, Macron told Spain's daily El País in a lengthy interview. Russia is a great nation territorially and historically, he pointed out, also calling Russians a great people. Macron admitted that Russia's revival in the 1990s after the collapse of the Soviet Union was a very difficult period. Now, Russia is standing in front of another abyss with its future at stake, Macron stated, while accusing Moscow of imperialist ambitions and a desire to decide the fate of its neighbors. The French president still maintained that the West should somehow help Russia find its destiny. There will be no lasting peace if we do not contribute our part of the answer to this question, he said. He once again warned the West against a desire to bring Moscow to its knees. Geography cannot be changed, he said, adding that Europe will still be a neighbor to Russia in the future, regardless of relations between them. In the long run, it is necessary to know how to find ways and means to build peace, Macron told El País, adding that it was what he was talking about at a moment when everyone has forgotten about it and some nations called for Moscow's humiliation. We must always maintain the ability to hold a dialogue, he stressed. And I would say that I absolutely agree with with Macron's stance. I do. I absolutely agree with his stance on it. I'm not saying that we should just say, hey, Russia, how much of Ukraine do you want? I'm not saying that. But, man, I've watched my entire life as other nations got treated like dirt just because they didn't give in to the Western ideology. And to me, that is no damn reason to do what they've done to so many other nations. And I mean just nation after nation after nation. Now, it seems like they're trying to finish up the job and get the last of the nations. That's what it would appear. I don't know, but I agree with Macron that the easiest way, the less messy way to deal with this issue would be to sit down at a table and see if they could work something out. It's crazy because there have been multiple times that Zelensky sounded kind of like he had that thought in mind, and then turn around and the U.S. or another country would feed his head a bunch of stuff. It's insane, because I step back and I look at this and I realize, look, first off, I'm not picking a side with this. I don't have to. I know the difference between good and bad. Killing people is bad. Period. Now, if you're defending yourself or somebody else, that's a different discussion. But a government telling you to go kill that person does not meet God's approval. Don't happen that way. But I don't think that's what's going to be what happens. I think this is going to get ugly. I really do. Yeah, great. Hold on. Okay, we knew about this one. However, let me get this tweeted out, and I'll add this to the tabs. We'll put it next. Well, actually, we're done with that. So, let me go ahead and do this one now then. Pentagon confirms new type of combat vehicle for Ukraine. This just came out. The United States government has authorized another $2.5 billion in military aid for Ukraine, including thousands of rockets and artillery rounds, as well as the first ever shipment of Stryker fighting vehicles. The Pentagon announced the new arms package on Thursday, marking the 30th drawdown from the Defense Department inventories since the conflict in Ukraine erupted last year. In addition to the 90 Strykers, right, just give me a couple, right? I'm good with a couple. I don't need 90. Couple would be cool, though. And a variety of other armored vehicles, which, yeah, you could sprinkle a few of those my way as well. Washington will supply 95,105 millimeter artillery shells. I'd be good with just, I don't know, a couple thousand. Additional ammunition for the HIMARS multi-launch rocket platform. Yeah, I'm going to need a couple of those. And an unspecified number of rounds for the National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, NASAMS, and 8 Avenger air defense systems, among other gear. Yeah, I could use a little bit of all that. Just fill the plate up. In service since 2002, the 8-wheeled Stryker can be equipped with a range of main armaments, depending on the model, including the M2 machine gun, the MK-19 grenade launcher, or the 30mm MK-44 Bushmaster chain gun. Yes, please. The Pentagon did not say which variant Kiev would receive, only noting that the 90 Strykers would come with 20 landmine rollers, because you cannot forget about the landmine rollers. The Defense Department said it would also send 59 Bradley fighting vehicles, added to 50 already authorized earlier this month. Officials have dubbed the platform a tank killer, as it comes mounted with anti-armor tow missiles, and have suggested it could be useful in future offensives against Russian forces. Another 590 tow missiles were included in the Thursday's arm package, bringing the total to 2,590 tow missiles. Yeah, I'll be alright with a couple hundred. Just give me a couple hundred, I'll be good. Though Washington has approved more than $27 billion in direct military aid to Kiev over the last year, Ukrainian officials have continued to urge for more powerful weapons such as the M1 Abrams main battle tank. That's coming next. The Joe Biden administration has yet to budge on that request. Yeah, right. But some Western partners are increasingly willing to supply similar arms, with the UK vowing to send a squadron of Challenger 2 tanks earlier this week. And we covered all that. France, going a little different direction for a moment, only for a moment. We're going to not talk about war just for a minute. France disrupted by strikes over pension reform. Train services, schools, and I think about this too, right? So Macron has all the other nonsense going on in his country involving the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. And then he's got this. Macron's got a lot on his plate. So I'm kind of wondering if he's kind of trying to take the easy road when it comes to the Ukraine conflict, because that would in turn possibly make his life a little bit easier when it came to running his nation, if he doesn't totally blackball himself with Russia, so to speak. Anyway, this says train services, schools, flights, and scores of businesses in France was disrupted on Thursday as labor unions organized mass protests against President Emmanuel Macron's plans to raise the retirement age to 64, a move bitterly opposed by the French public. The largest marches took place in Paris, where the CGT trade union estimated that 400,000 people took to the streets. That's amazing. The union claimed that 2 million protesters marched nationwide, although France's Interior Ministry put the turnout at 1.2 million nationwide and 80,000 in Paris. Well, that's still not small numbers. Amid the demonstrations, police officers clashed with black-clad anarchists who regularly show up at protests, the government-funded folks, in France to spar with police. Video footage showed armored officers using tear gas and batons on the black-clad bloc and other nearby protesters. Well, yeah, you gotta have your photo shoot. I mean, didn't we all learn that lesson from Greta the other day? Similar demonstrations were held in the cities of Nantes, Lyon, Bordeaux, Marseille, and Toulouse, and in more than 200 other locations across the country. France's 8 largest trade unions participated, meaning that schools, railways, airports, power plants, and other vital utilities were operating at a drastically reduced capacity on Thursday. So, got a lot going on in his country, so maybe he's kind of trying to take the easy road with Russia. Crazy. And U.S., because, arming Ukraine and arming Taiwan and helping out South Korea and anybody else that farts isn't enough. We're working on arming Latin America, says a general. Nice. These are with the same taxpayer-funded vehicles and equipment, right? I mean, come on. General Laura J. Richardson, sounds like a dick, who reads the Pentagon's Southern Command, who heads, not reads, I don't know, gives head to the Pentagon's, really? Wait, I'm getting confused on this. Laura J. Richardson, who gives head to the Pentagon's, I'll get it right, who heads the Pentagon Southern Command. Okay, that's different. So they say. Claimed on Thursday that Washington is in talks with as many as 9 Latin American countries, aimed at supplying them. All kinds of funny jokes are running through my head. I will refrain. Aimed at supplying them with American weapons if they donate their own stocks of Russian gear to Ukraine. Be good, Mike. Speaking to the Atlantic Council, a think tank backed by NATO and funded by the U.S. weapons industry, Richardson stated that a total of 9 Latin American countries have Russian equipment and that the Pentagon is working to replace that with the U.S. equipment if those countries want to donate it to Ukraine. Well, what I want to know, if maybe Laura Richardson wants U.S. equipment maybe replaced with Ukrainian equipment, because if so, that's on her, and I don't think the United States government should get involved. I'm going to leave that at that. We've been doing this stuff for years, folks. We've been giving military equipment out around the world for decades. Not going to stop anytime soon. But hey, no money to help you, no money to help the veterans that put their lives on the line for the nation. No money for any of that. But, damn, we sure can ship the arms to other nations. No problems there. Polish general suggests mobilizing Ukrainian refugees. Hey, are we now getting somewhere? Or we maybe now? Look, maybe they need to worry about their damn selves. That's one hell of a notion. This says Western nations should mobilize Ukrainians who fled the conflict in their homeland, train them, and send them to the front lines. Retired Polish General Waldemar Skurzak. Yeah, how do they even do that? You can't even physically curl your tongue like that. It's not even possible. You would have a tongue hernia if you even tried. Anyway, they said on Thursday. The former commander of the Polish land forces expressed doubt, however, about whether there was anything at all the West could do to help Kiev win its ongoing conflict with Moscow. NATO should start raising a Ukrainian army in Poland, Germany, and France. That dude told Poland's, oh my goodness, Politis news media outlet, sure. According to that dude, the West should not even ask the Ukrainians if they want to fight or not. You have to mobilize, conscript them into the army, and that's it. He said, hey, just don't let the test be how to pronounce your name, because you may not get very many people. At the same time, the general, who once served as an advisor to the Polish Defense Ministry and even a deputy defense minister, painted a rather grim picture of Kiev's prospects in the ongoing conflict. Yeah, because he don't have his head up his ass. There is no military chance for Ukraine to win this war, he said, adding that the only way to beat Russia was to suffocate it politically and economically. That dude, because I can't say his name, believes that even the delivery of modern Western-made tanks would have little effect on the battlefield. And I would agree. Even 100 tanks will not change the situation in which the Russians are building a multifold advantage over the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainians will not defeat the Russians with 100 Leopards, the general said. And I would agree with all that. No, I mean, it's really kind of craziness, to be real honest. To think that we're just going to be able to easily turn that around. Okay. Thank goodness it's my Friday. Gonna run through these headlines. All right. U.S. may assist Ukrainian strikes. Oh, I covered that. U.S. encouraging terrorist acts against Russia, says an ambassador. Russia posts record current account surplus. Amazon overtakes Apple as world's most valuable brand. So Bezos' big boner is on the top. UK to go further in support for Ukraine. Yeah, Bezos to go further than that. Meta told to lift ban on bare breasts for some users. Yep, apparently so. It's clown world. Russia launches espionage. Sorry, don't know where that came from. Russia launches espionage case against U.S. citizen. A ChatGPT maker outsourced work to low-paid Kenyan, says Time. Another EU nation considers tank shipment to Ukraine, says Politico. You know, here's the thing, right? So, Time, do they want to talk about the slave workers that build the equipment that they're using to write their stories with? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, it's funny how all of that stuff, it's very, it depends. Only certain people, it's kind of crazy how that works. Another EU nation considers tank shipment. Oh, I covered that, sorry. Ex-Russian president warns of nuclear scenario in Ukraine. Believe it or not, I did not cover that one. crypto lender Genesis about to go bust, says Bloomberg. Fresh U.S. aid for Ukraine won't include weapon Kiev wants, says Politico. I'm talking about the Abrams. Let's see. Banned Russian oil in high demand, says Bloomberg. Turkey outlines complications in potential Ukraine-Russia talks. Let's see. Russia slashes EU-bound gas transit through Ukraine. Kremlin rubbishes bizarre Zelensky claim about Putin. EU country doubles trade with Russia. Iran warns EU of shooting itself in the foot. Food prices in Britain continue to skyrocket, says data. Russian customs agent sees golden Kalashnikov rifle. Trump may return to Twitter and Facebook soon, says NBC. Nothing has changed for Biden regarding 2024, says The Hill. EU Parliament backs tribunal to probe Russia. Turkey denies link between F-16 deal and Nordic NATO bids. Iran joins Russia-led free trade zone, says media. India accuses BBC of colonial mindset. Ex-Polish FM lambasted corruption in EU Parliament. Oh yeah, this was kind of a big deal. Alec Baldwin to be charged with manslaughter, 2 counts. Along with the, I guess her position was the armorer. Ukrainian refugees mistreated in EU country, says a report. U.S. nears debt limit. You've heard that a million times by now today. Wall Street crashes on recession fears. Recession fears, right? Just fears. Russia considers slashing oil discounts. Mutiny erupts among WEF staff over role of Mr. Davos. And again, that was what I was kind of talking about earlier. West must contribute to Russia's... I covered that. Serbia urged to align with EU's policies. Covered that. Woman accused of killing and dismembering her parents. Yeah, kind of bizarre. I covered that. A hero spy was executed by mistake, says a Zelensky aide. Oops. U.S. working on arming Latin America, says... I covered that. And I covered that. Let's see. And that. Grave assault on U.S. judiciary goes unpunished. Ankara slams U.S. colonial governor for election meddling. U.S. poised to transfer seized Russian assets to Kiev, says Department of Justice. And then I covered that when it came out. So, yay, we're there. We made it. We're done. I am going to get jiggy with it and jiggy out the door and relax. And try to relax for the next couple of days. I have a feeling... I think that quietness before the storm is pretty well over. We'll see. Until Sunday, I hope things go well for everyone. God willing, we will see you then. Hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.